I've been asked the question how The Colors of the Rain came to be. And it's kind of an interesting story, a very different way than some of my other novels have come to be. At the time I wrote this story, I had just welcomed twins into my family. They were number 4 and number 5. And so time was just really, really short. There was no time to write. I was pretty much overwhelmed by the needs of twins. And so I had a photographer friend whom I used to work with at a local newspaper here in San Antonio, and she takes wonderful pictures. She's been a documentary photographer for our family for a number of years. I think it's going on 8 years. And she and I had been talking about maybe doing a project. She wasn't doing as many pictures as she wanted to do because she had taken a new job and was no longer a photographer. So we were talking about how we could use both of our art forms to kind of make a consistent habit of taking pictures and writing. And so we decided that she was going to send me 2 pictures a week, and I would write scenes around those pictures and make them all build into a story. And so we started our partnership, and the first picture that she sent me was this picture right here. And I had already been thinking about a little boy who had spoken to me. It sounds really weird to say that, but this little boy had spoken in my head, and he told me his name was Polly. And when my friend, whose name is Helen Montoya Henricks, sent me this picture, I knew that there was something significant about the rain that had happened. And so I started getting to know Polly. I wrote the first scene, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, even though you might have read it by now. But I knew that the rain was going to have a big part in The Colors of the Rain. So this was the first picture, and she continued sending them all throughout the course of that year. So I guess that would be 104 pictures in all, and there were 104 scenes, which actually got cut down to I don't even know how many, but it was at least half of what I originally did. Here is another example of a picture. There's a scene where Polly picks up a leaf out of the woods, and he picks out one that is different from all the others. And this was the picture that inspired that scene. And I just love the color and the contrast between the leaves. There's also a scene where Polly is kind of focused on his dad's shoe, and this was the inspiration for that scene, even though it didn't, the shoe did not end up on the top of a church building, which I believe is what this is. But I took the element of the shoe and I wrote a scene around that. This is a picture of an art apron, and I had already established in the story that Polly was an artist, but he was a sketchbook artist and he had never tried painting before. And this was inspiration for the first scene where he tries to paint. And then we have a collection of spray paint, which is significant because this was a project that Mr. Langley and Polly worked on to beautify a building outside their school. And this was the inspiration for having it be sort of a graffiti type art project. And speaking of the building, this is the building. I believe that in the scene I actually say something about how Polly notices that it might have once been red, but now is just distressed wood. And this was the inspiration for that. And then there's a scene where Polly is talking to a school counselor and she is encouraging him. This was his special spot with his dad where they would go fishing and sort of talk about life and the things that dads and sons talk about. And she handed him this exact picture. I guess it wasn't this exact one because she lives on the other side. But she said, she told him to imagine who he wanted to stand there with now. And that was some good advice that he needed at the time. So what do these pictures do for an author? I am a very visual author, and so when my friend was sending me these pictures, I could imagine the characters in these particular places, and that helped me to envision the scene around it. I could see them moving around, I could see them talking. Sometimes I do creative visualization where I inhabit that place in the photograph, and I close my eyes and I kind of imagine a movie happening. And the pictures, it was kind of a constraint almost, like I had to keep the scene within these pictures, but it was really freeing. And having it be so consistent, I had a book by the end of the year. It was a book that needed a lot of work, but it was a book, and I just think that's a really amazing thing. And my friend had 104 pictures that she wouldn't have had before, so that was really cool.